What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And today, like none other, we played flat for the most part. But today was a big day for vaccines and chips. I know myself, I did not play AMD. It's been a monster, but I did play MU. I grabbed some shares yesterday. I essentially put an order in yesterday on MU yesterday. Didn't realize it tagged. I realized it was in today. But nonetheless, I actually got tagged out of that today after that big push. And then we had that pull back. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the market. There is tons of news and mandates and everything coming out about the virus. It is a whirlwind, but it's not enough, right? It's not enough to essentially scare the market. The markets seem to like the fact that mandates are being pushed out. At least that's what we saw yesterday. We're playing this range essentially with SPY. You could definitely say the same with QQQ. Is definitely playing a range. As soon as it hits this top demand zone or supply zone, it essentially sells off, right? News comes out and we start selling. And we've been playing this range for a while now. At the end of the month, we have Jackson Hole. And so that is what is important, is to see what happens in Jackson Hole. It might be why we are being stagnant. It might be a very slow month. Being said, the money is definitely rotating around. You can see where it's rotating around. Like I said, the vaccines, so with a mandate and everything, ZM actually pumped a lot today. Again, with concerns of lockdown. And then you have, again, Moderna. Has had a massive rip through this whole time. It's essentially been numero uno as far as the vaccines. So it's definitely been doing well, although it does have earnings tomorrow in the morning. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Moderna tomorrow. Not all earnings are completely done. Obviously, we still have a lot going on. But the biggest thing to keep in mind here, we still have DraftKings, we still have Fiverr in the morning, Wayfair in the morning, Cloudflare tomorrow after close, Beyond Meat tomorrow after close. So there's still a lot, but a good chunk of earnings are already done. And it's not a lot of these companies' faults. Like today we had Roku. Roku killed earnings, but the subscriber count was extremely low. It was about essentially halved, I think is what it was. Being said, forward guidance is just killing these companies. All right, a lot of pandemic numbers are what we're getting, and people are realizing that it's not sustainable, and so all these, so the forward guidance is just killing it because of the uncertainty, right? We don't know how long it's going to last, which is good as long as you are not playing the actual earnings. If you play earnings run-ups, that's fine. But if this is great if you're not in these positions, if they do sell off and they have killer earnings, the pandemic is not going away. Like Roku and all these other ones that have been killing it, they're only going to come back even stronger on the next run around, right? Tapering is something that's been talked about on and off towards the end of the year. A lot of people are kind of pushing for to get essentially Powell out and get somebody else in there that will actually start tapering. But I think Powell's actually done a good job for the most part. He's held his ground, right? There's a lot of data I think that we are not actually seeing there. Supply and demand is extremely weighing on the markets, causing mass inflation, and the numbers aren't going to go away. I was actually looking at something as far as housing as well. Housing prices are still going to go up. It's not going to go away. I think housing is something, the demand is, right, there's not enough supply for the demand that's out there and continuing to rise. And so being said, inflation, is it transitory? I thought for a moment it could be transitory, but it really depends, right? And this goes back to what Kathy Woods has been saying about innovation, right? If things can innovate, right, supply and demand could ease some, but there's going to have to be a lot of pressure, right? It's like creating diamonds, right? You need the pressure to be able to do that. And so, being said, we're going to have to see what happens in the coming weeks. Again, we got Jackson Hole at the end of the month. We also had, what other earnings do we have today? We had Roku. We had Fastly was the other one. Fastly also got destroyed today. Had Etsy, which is another big one. If I can get the ticker right here. Etsy also got destroyed, even though they did. Looks like they beat earnings. They beat earnings, but a lot of things is even like Amazon, right? They beat earnings, although they lost on some lost on essentially cash, their cash balance. They still had, they're losing customers, and the ultimate question is, where's all those customers going? You would think something like Etsy would possibly pick them up, but it's interesting to see what's going to happen tomorrow. That being said, you had a nice pump from Facebook today. You had a nice pump from Snap today. Had a huge run, essentially the run up for Roku, and then Roku had that, even though Roku again killed numbers. This one might actually be one to watch tomorrow because the numbers are good, so it may bounce back, but we have to see what happens ultimately with that. Tesla, I think is just waiting for the market. It's all the big FANG stocks are essentially flat. We don't have any good news to really keep pumping. We don't have any bad news to sell off. I've been kind of iterating this, but then again, you got Jackson Hole. You got a lot going on with China. You got a lot going on with inflation concerns and stuff like that. I think we are just waiting for the foot to drop at this point, and that's why there hasn't been any movement, because we don't know. As long as there's certainty, which I don't know what certainty looks like at this point, because there's still so much unknown, especially with the different variants and everything, where the market's going to go. And again, big money is not going to put their money where they don't think it's going to be good for the next 5 to 10 years. So if that's the case, right, it wants to wait and see. And right now, it's not concerned, but it's also not buying anymore ultimately. So we have to see what happens here. Amazon, I think, going into the next quarter will crush it like always. I think Roku will crush it like always. I think Tesla will crush it like always. But we can't just go up. Like, there needs to be some kind of selling, but there's not a big enough catalyst to drop us down. So maybe if there's more mandates for the vaccine, like in New York, that could be a possibility that pushes us up even more. I know August is typically kind of a down month, but we're going to have to see how that plays out. Again, I am neutral. I'm more bullish, but I have to understand that I still believe that there's going to be some sort of pullback, right? We had 2 solid months of just running. The earnings run-ups seem to be a lot earlier, and then when the earnings actually report, we get these sell-offs. There have been some major pullbacks. I mean, Amazon has pulled back pretty hard, but I think it's going to be a while before it starts recovering the right way. Tesla bounced back quick after its earnings. After it crushed its earnings, it only needed a day or two, and it bounced back really fast. But again, I think it's going to play range, right? The chip shortage is an issue that's out there. Chips and vaccines are probably what's going to be for the next month. What's going to be playing forward. I know even restaurants are killing it, right? You got Chipotle, you got Wing, which is another one which has been killing it a lot too. It is, I think it's close to all-time highs here. Yeah, it's close to all-time highs here. Just had earnings, killer earnings, might retest and sell off. But ultimately, I think the issue why this sold off was because of the fact that it's inflation concerns with chickens, so that's why this one sold off. But ultimately, yeah, it'd be interesting. You have to really watch where the money's going, because right now, not everything is moving, right? I've talked about mid cap, small caps of kind of being getting crushed. So you do have to be careful with those. If you're looking for long-term investments, yes, look at those ones that are well worth your while, and will do good for the next 5 to 10 years. Because right now, this year, a lot of stuff has just been sitting still, right? If you've been holding a planter, right, it's been trading sideways for a long time. If you've been holding NNDM, it sold off pretty hard at the beginning of the year, and then it's been just sitting sideways. Roblox is another one to keep in mind tomorrow. It busted out. I know they were talking about Activision killed it today, and so that kind of helped fuel this run today. But it is still playing the wedge. It's hitting the top channel, so we might actually get another push down back into this 777 mark, which I'm looking forward to, because I'll definitely be buying into this and waiting for that August 17th earnings. I think this one might actually run. I think it might get one more push down. I missed it the other day. I wanted to grab it, and I did not grab it yesterday, but we might get one more push down before we do run on that one. So again, just keep in mind, watch the news, see what's going on. Again, right now, mandatory vaccinations, chip shortages, those are the biggest things in news right now, the biggest concerns. Also why a lot of these big techs are losing steam and getting crushed. It's not because of their earnings right now, but for guidance on not knowing what's about ready to happen. So being said, if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. Till next time, I'll see you guys later.